The first Resistance was one of the premier launch titles for the PS3. It acted as a huge departure for Insomniac Studios, an already acclaimed developer known for cute and cartoony mascots. Fall of Man was a fight for humanity's survival set in a bleak world overrun by the merciless Chimera. And it was outstanding. Resistance 2 picks up right where the first ends, and you can immediately tell the difference. This game is larger in scope in every way. Whereas the first game mainly took place in not-so-jolly old England, the sequel is a larger conflict raging across the USA. Even when you start in Iceland, you then skip to cities around the United States like nobody's business. This really drives home the fact that this is a bigger, more cataclysmic war, since the US is the last remaining free area in the world, and the scope that was hinted at before is fully realized in this game. Each level has a moment in which your jaw will literally drop, be it crazy bosses that take up the entire screen, or vistas of rampant destruction. The ambition is amazing. This also extends to the gameplay itself. It's not uncommon for you to fight hordes and hordes of enemies at one time, or to take part in large-scale fights with lots of allies. Somehow, Insomniac managed to fit all of this on screen with a solid frame rate, which is just incredible. All is not perfect though, because there are some weird technical hitches. Some textures are noticeably low-res, there's some screen tearing and pop-in, and there are standard clipping problems. But given the scale of the game, this is understandable. The game is the continuation of Nathan Hale's story arc, and hence it's very Hale-centric. Hale finds himself with other soldiers who have been augmented with Chimera strains and joins the secret agency of Sentinels to continue the war. The story is pretty good overall, but I do have some issues with it. For one, there's no narrator like Rachel from the first game. She really tied that story together, and the sequel doesn't have the same cohesiveness. Character motivations aren't clearly explained sometimes, and the ending, well, let's just say that it ends. Lots of questions are brought up and left unanswered, so until a hypothetical Resistance 3 comes around, some people may be left scratching their heads.
Can you hear them? It is beautiful.
With that said, the game is as fun as ever. New weapons like the Magnum with exploding bullets are pretty sweet, and old favorites like the Bullseye are comforting to hold again. This is good because the enemy AI is pretty ruthless. You'll get a good challenge from the game, especially with the multiple difficulties. Although even more amazing is that your NPC buddies are equally as smart. They don't just wait around to be killed like most NPCs of the world did. They return fire and even take out some enemies for you. So the single player is good and probably about what you'd expect. However, the multiplayer is probably some of the best I've ever played, and I'm pretty picky about my multiplayer games. First off, there's a co-op mode that you can play with up to 8 buddies. This is not just a rehash of the single player. These are side missions that run parallel with the main story and have their own set of objectives. The idea is to show you the war from a different angle, that it's not just Nathan fighting this war by himself. The system is very slick. There are 3 classes, Soldier, Spec Ops, and Medic, that can gain levels and unlock class-specific perks called Berserk Powers. These perks are things like reducing damage for a minute, or projecting an energy ring that regenerates health for your squad mates. However, the real fun of this mode is just how dynamic it is. You could be given an objective, and based on how well you succeed, the game might throw more enemies at you for a similar objective. It will also scale based on the levels in your party and the number of players in the game, so the game is always evolving. You'll definitely have to play as a team to get through this mode. There's also a competitive mode that's phenomenal. There's the usual deathmatch and capture the flag modes, but skirmish mode is the one to look for. First of all, there can be up to 60 guys on one map at any time, and there was no noticeable lag in our playtimes. We don't know what black magic Insomniac used, but it's pretty ridiculous that it works as well as it does. Skirmish mode is objective-based like co-op, and these goals are also dynamic. Your squad of 5 players will be given commands like protecting a base, grabbing a node, or eliminating a priority target, and rival squads will be assigned to stop you. The emphasis on squad play is great, and it really focuses this action. As the timer counts down in a round, the objectives will gradually funnel everyone to the middle of a map where a hectic firefight will break out for total domination. It's smart, organized, and most of all, it's a lot of fun. Resistance 2 is worth it for the multiplayer itself, but the fact that you're also given a rather epic single-player game is also remarkable. There's tons of replayability, unlockables, and trophies, and it's one of Sony's shining exclusives of the year. It's better than the first Resistance in every way, and whether you're a human or chimera, this is a fight to join. For the full written review, head over to IGN.com.